welcome back to another White Table Talks. This is a podcast to just give people a voice, and it's to give people that opportunity to speak out. The reason why we started it is for that very reason, to just give people, anybody can come on, anybody can speak out. But today I'm joined by a very special guest, a very special guest to me anyway. Might not be a very special guest to you, but it's actually the person that thought of the name White Table Talks, and it is Lyndsey Judson from Elements Counselling and also from Unmasked Counselling. Lyndsey, thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out to come do a White Table Talks and talk about your life and talk about lots of different things. It doesn't have to be, it can be whatever you want it to be. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to come and talk, because I think we'll find out a bit later on in the podcast a bit more like about why, like, I don't know your story. Although you work for me, I don't really know your story. I know who Lynsey is, and you know, we all get on really well, and we have a great working relationship, but I don't really know 100% your backstory. So you expressed to me that you wanted to come do this. You've been thinking about doing this for a while. Maybe it's something that's just been eating up inside that you just wanted to get out. So yeah, thank you for coming on and doing this.
No, thanks for having me.
It's all right. So first of all, who is Lyndsey?
Well,
let us know a bit about Lyndsey.
this is me.
This is you. I know who Lynsey is, as in, you know, from where you are, where you're from and stuff like that. But what do you do?
Well, I do counselling.
Yep.
And I love cleaning. I absolutely love cleaning.
Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with me in that sense. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Age, where you from?
Age 29-ish.
Ish, maybe 1 or 2 years.
Yeah,
above, but
yeah, a
that's
little
about
bit.
it.
Possibly more than that. Born and bred in Halifax.
Yeah.
Love the facts. Absolutely love the facts.
Yeah.
It's just the best, isn't it? Weather's absolutely shocking.
It is pretty shocking, but it's. I tell you what, honestly, when I lived in Australia, I moved there for 2 years, and although when I'm here, I kind of hate Halifax, because I don't know, it's just a bit grey and miserable in Halifax. It's quite old, as in there's just not much happening, but I missed it a hell of a lot when I was abroad. It was one of them where I was proud to be from Halifax, and it's weird, like, you're proud to be from Yorkshire, and then you're proud to be from West Yorkshire, and then you're proud to be from Halifax, and I'm proud to be from Salisbury Bridge, and like, I missed all these places when I was abroad. So it's not bad in our facts, is it?
No, it's nice.
It's
some
alright.
great architecture.
Yeah, some great places, some good hidden spots as well.
Certainly. I've done some culinary heritage walks. I love them.
So I know you wrote down some notes today on
Yeah.
what you want to speak about,
I did.
and usually I have questions. I have preloaded questions that I've typed out a week before to fire across, and I didn't want it to be like that today, because for anyone listening, I wanted it to be like real, like, although all the other ones so far have been real and raw, it's like I just wanted this one just to flow and just to be as it is, you know, not to be a preloaded question or anything like that. So I personally want to know what made you get into counselling, because counselling, although there's some good money in it, there's many counsellors that are not necessarily in it for that reason. And I know that you are not in it for that reason.
Absolutely.
There's many counsellors that are in it for that reason, because it is, let's be honest, it's a well-paid job.
Depends.
Depending.
Depends who's doing the paid, Logan.
Yeah, not if you come work for us.
Volunteer or
Yeah. But, you know, there's counsellors that are charging £80 to £90 an hour, even more than that. I've heard of stories of it being like £120 an hour for sessions. Now with our counselling, it's £20 an hour, so maybe not as well high paid, but it's not about that money, is it? So it's about that support for somebody else that can't afford to pay you £40, £50 an hour sessions. But what brought you to this point? Because you've told me in your previous job history sort of thing, within management and doing your cleaning and stuff like that, But then to stop and re-educate yourself and become a counsellor is a big move, especially when you're just a bit over 29.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's quite a big leap of faith to do. Whereas, you know, maybe someone a bit younger might have that, you know, thinking, well, I've got another 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. I can just change my job instantly. Whereas you being a 29, it's a tough age to...
29-ish.
29-ish.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do it?
Well, to clarify about money around counsellors, you're not paying for that hour, you're paying for the absolute immense amount of training and soul searching you have to go through to get to that point, and the fact that as a counsellor you take those clients with you and you're constantly researching and reading and wanting to understand what they're telling you, so you're constantly doing more and more work on that.
Yeah.
How I got into it, I'm not going to do the whole backstory because...
You don't have to, it's entirely up to you. And when you've watched the one with Doug, and I said it to him then about when if you're ready to talk. If you're not ready to talk, you don't have to talk. Yeah. So if you don't want to explain the backstory of how you got to it, it's entirely up to you. But yeah,
I'll get
to a point.
Yeah, because I appreciated that you said that to Doug, because that's right. That is so accurate that until you're ready to talk, there is no point trying to do anything else because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for this stuff. So for me, when I reached the point of being ready to talk, I went to one counsellor. I'd never heard of therapy. I'd never heard of counselling. I'd never heard of mental health. I just had no idea. I just thought I was broken and something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And mental. If anyone, the word mental follows me around all the time. But now I think it's very positive because I've always been mental. So, yeah, I had no idea that this stuff was out there. So I had a very traumatic time, and I think I went to Relate first because it was around a relationship. So I went to Relate and I was talking to a counsellor and it was great and yada yada yada, I don't know. But I didn't feel like I connected, I engaged at that point. Nothing seemed to change, I just carried on. And then I think other things happened, I got lower and I found, my cousin actually recommended Women's Centre in Halifax and I went there for some counselling. And when I met the counsellor that understood me, got me, and I was just no judgment, it was just so life-changing. It was just such a massive realisation that actually it's okay to be who you are, because none of us knows what we're doing, and it's okay. And I just thought, so I don't have to try fit in, and I don't have to try please people, and I don't have to be something I think I have to be, I can just be. And it was just such a massive realisation. I was like, I'm studying this. So I did.
Well, I think I said it earlier on, and I've sort of taken a bit of a change in the last couple of weeks on really sort of trying to be, I'm always really positive, but sometimes I don't tell people enough of how good they are and how appreciated they are, and I think it's really nice when someone tells you that. And I said it to you earlier, like maybe I probably said it a bit jokey, but we're having a good laugh, and it's always a laugh, isn't it? It's always a laugh. But it's you are. I said it earlier. You are the best counsellor I've ever come across in my life.
Oh, what?
I know, but I'm just letting you know that. And you just recently been told that as well.
Yeah,
but you're just super relatable and super like just easy to talk to and stuff like that. So
thank you.
It's all right.
I think it's interesting because we might have talked about it yesterday actually. Like my friends will ring me with an issue they don't ring anyone else with, regardless of what it is, because they're like, I will literally talk about anything. Like nothing embarrasses me or I don't feel awkward. I'm just like, yeah, I've either done it, seen it, had it, been there, known someone that has, and I get it, or I just try to get it. I think that's all we can do. I just try to understand, because sometimes being understood is all you need, because then you feel less alien. Yeah,
definitely. It's quite strange how all of us, like 7.8 billion people in this world. Something massive, innit?
It's ridiculous.
That when you're in a really difficult place, you sometimes feel like you're the only one that feels like that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to believe that, innit? Like when you're not in that difficult place and you think of it like that, like it's crazy to think that. But yeah. So counselling, how long have you been doing it now?
Qualified for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I started off volunteering at Women's Centre before I even began training. I don't even know. It's that long ago now, I'm not even sure.
Right, okay.
2006, 8, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I loved it. The volunteering for me is like, I love it. I mean, I talked to my other half last night about if I could just work for free forever and not pay any bills. You know, I just want people to be okay. I just want you to be okay, because I've not been okay and I know what it's like to not be okay. Yeah. And it's just not possible, I'm afraid. But I loved my volunteering, and then I got into group work, and I learned so much from group work. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't go to groups, I don't like talking in groups. So when I run a group, I'm like, don't talk then. No bigger. I'm not going to judge you because it's scary to talk in a group. And then I started running groups and developing groups, and then I had to go do my GCSE maths to get into do my qualifications as a counsellor. And when I went for my assessment to go to Calderdale Adult Learning, they were like, your maths skills are like an 11-year-old's. Oh, shit. So I even had to go that far back and do my maths. And the tutor was like, I don't know if this is for you. And I was like, I will pass this. Nothing is stopping me now.
Have you ever used maths while you've been doing counselling?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sometimes, I don't know, in an invoice.
That's sort of what blagged me in life. Like at GCSEs, you could probably spell fudge with my grades. Like they were just absolutely naff.
Fully understand that.
But I managed to get into a job that allowed me to progress and allowed me to learn and stuff like that while working. And I got better and better. But I got absolutely rubbish GCSEs and just came across a job that allowed me to get paid pretty well for what I did. But I then applied myself later on in life to become, then go back and redo my GCSEs for maths and English and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's what I find difficult at school now as a mum, and especially with homeschooling, whatever that is. Don't ask me for advice on that. But I think, why are we teaching them all this stuff, and then as adults we have to go and have therapy and figure out how to be a human being? Like, is there not a little bit of scope for a bit more of this?
At an earlier age?
What? Anyway, it is what it is. I think education's got to catch up, but it's a massive undertaking, so, kudos to people in education, because I couldn't do it.
I'd have loved to be really intelligent when I was younger. Because
what, as a kid?
Yeah, because I've found the older I've got, the more intelligent I've got, and the more I've been willing to learn things. And I wish I had that as a young age. But like, I was saying about homeschooling and it difficult. Like you see your kids going to school and it's difficult to. I sometimes just want to say, like, look, your GCSEs are not the be end of life. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not the be. But you can't really say that as a parent. You know what I mean? You want your child to do the best in life, and if that means getting A stars, then that's what you're gonna try and push your child to do. Because if they want to be an astronaut, they're gonna have to probably get better than an F in maths. Do you know what I mean?
Just get your English and maths, son. Just get your English and maths, and I'm all right. But I don't know, I've never shown anyone one of my qualifications, apart from in my counsel, my adult life, where you have to prove that you're qualified to do your job, because that's ridiculous. But GCSEs, not one person has ever asked me for a proof of that I've got them all, so why would I just fudge my own? No, I haven't, just to point out, we are legit here.
I find it quite strange that now that I've been doing this for some time, and to the amount of impact we've had as Unmasked, that we are classed as mental health professionals, if you know what I mean. And that blows my mind, because a mental health professional has been studied for 4 years, or works at the local mental health hospital or something like that. They're mental health professionals. I feel like I'm just a Joe Bloggs that wants to make a difference and says, I'll come talk to you. So it's weird when someone refers to me as that, but yeah, maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah, that's just, I think there's a lot on qualifications because you need the practice, but also I practice from my life skills and my learning and my own experiences, as do you.
Yeah,
therefore,
definitely.
And constantly studying, as do you, because you guys are non-stop in here doing meeting people and learning stuff and producing facts and figures. It's just immense the amount that goes on here in the background. But
yeah, it's sometimes too much though.
Yeah, well, you got to know when to take a break.
Just before we press go on this, it was like, oh, I just wanted to do this podcast. But someone's just called me now, and someone's just called me in a bit, and I need to call somebody else. So, and
have a break, have a Kit Kat, you know what I'm saying?
I eat too many Kit Kats.
This is your Kit Kat right now.
Yeah, this is my Kit Kat right now. Is doing this. But so life. What? So I did the last podcast. I didn't actually post it on Facebook or anything like that. I just posted it on our platforms that we have. So like YouTube, and we post on Anchor, which then distributes it to like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff like that.
We're like talking a completely another language.
Well, just where this goes, I just posted it on there. But I didn't do a post on social media to say go listen to this. But in the last one, I spoke a bit about my insecurities in life. So I ain't really digested my full story on why I'm here Unmasked. Yeah, Doug really wants to interview me for that, so I'm waiting for that, because I interviewed Doug for his, and he was really open and really honest and spoke a lot of stuff that he's never spoke to me before, and but the last one I talked a lot about my insecurities of when I was when I came back from Oz and I met somebody I spoke to you earlier on about. About, because we were talking about love, basically, and
what?
and about how do I know that Charlotte, my wife, is the one, and I told you all the love stories and stuff like that.
Oh my god, you should write. It's so good.
So I talked about how it was different from the last relationship to you today. The feeling of love, and how I know Charlotte's the one.
You're not going to ask me to talk about love, are you?
No, I'm not going to ask you to talk about.
I think I'm dead inside when it comes to that.
I'm not going to talk to you about love. What I'm going to say is just I went a bit in depth on a different story that I don't often tell, and I want you to tell as much as you want. So just be whatever you feel like you can say it. Okay. At that point, I felt like I could say that, so that's why I spoke about that point, and not my other points in my life. So that's what I was sort of just getting across, that if you want to say, if you don't want to say something, don't say it. I'm not going to force it out.
Oh, nice one. That's a treat.
So
actually, it is actually.
I don't want to say when did something start or go back to this point in your life. I want to know about what's happened in your life that has affected your mental health, because everybody at Unmasked have got their own reasons why we're here, and I believe that you're here for a reason as well, not the wanting to be involved with an organisation that's growing. You wanting to be involved with an organisation that is real and honest and different, because we are not shirts and ties and stuff like that. Clearly. But we're not shirts and ties like there is many other organisations and companies that deal with mental health that are shirt and tie, and
that's okay.
And that's all right,
But I like wellies, and I like to take my shoes off in the office and bring my dog. I don't know if anyone's heard that. Today. Sorry about that. I had to bring the dog, and she has just got comfortable down here and gone. Harr. I don't know if anyone heard that. It's the dog.
I might have heard somewhere. I'm not sure.
Apologies. It's not me.
All right. So, tell us a bit of a story.
I'll tell you a bit of a story, because I have got a story to tell, and I think I've always wanted to put this story out to the world, because it's it's massive, and I think it goes unnoticed, and it's about periods.
Yeah, you did tell me that you wanted to talk about this earlier on, so I guess I'm going to have to find a title or think of a title that relates to periods.
Just periods.
But it's not just about.
No, it's not about.
It's not about like self-hygiene or all. It's about.
No. What? Well, it can be if you want. Honestly, I'll talk about anything. It literally doesn't matter. You bring it to me, I will talk about it. But no, this is about a condition called PMDD. So premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
So I'd already had a tough time growing up. We're going to go there another time.
Okay.
You hit puberty. Mine's fairly late. I'm still youngish now, 29ish.
29ish.
So at school, everybody ribbed me for not having periods. My girlfriends at the time. I didn't think it was bullying. I thought it was hilarious because I didn't have, and they were all suffering. And I'm like, ha ha ha. Yeah. Tough. So anyway. So around 15, I think I had my first one. Who cares? Whatever. 16, I had my second one, and then they didn't start proper till about 17. So at this point. I can't believe I'm talking about this. So at this point, I'm already think I'm mental because I'm labelled as mental. As I'd like to reiterate that I am positively mental. It's a good thing.
Good.
It's great.
Yeah.
I've unmasked my mental illness and I love it. I'm mental and proud. So yeah. So puberty, hormones, yada yada yada. So I'm so reactive in my youth, reactive to everything and over emotional, and I just think there's something fundamentally wrong with me, and that it's that I'm just broken. And as I get older, I'm thinking, oh God, is everyone in the world like this? Does everybody feel like this? Why is this so hard? Why can't I concentrate? Why can't I focus? Why am I so crazy?
Yeah.
So I have a baby, and whilst I'm pregnant, the world was different. When I was pregnant, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if I've ever told anyone this actually.
Right.
The world was quiet, and I could see, and I could, like, even my voice has changed. It was like, for 9 months I was like, this is just it. It's normal. I don't know who goes what normal is. I mean, Christ, talking to me, I don't know normal is. And then, other events happened in life, relationship breakdown, single mom, massive postnatal depression, really struggled.
Yeah.
Another story, yada yada yada. And I forget time, periods of time. I'm not sure what ages I am at what point.
Yeah.
But I remember going to, is it Laura Mitchell?
Yeah.
Now Broad Street Plaza, I don't know. It was
they still call Laura Mitchell, I believe, but they're just at Broad Street Plaza, yeah.
Sexual health clinic, whatever, but it was purely because I needed somebody who understood what on earth was going on with my body. It was like, I started to realise when I was due on, I had PMT. I was like the girl out of The Exorcist, like, I was literally like, but I never really got to the crux of it. Nobody understood, and I was like, this is not, other people can't be this bad, and everyone would be like, oh, Lynsey's due on, here we go, and my family could see it, everybody could see it around me, and I was like, does everybody live like this? And I talked to people and they were like, well, I get a bit crabby and I want to eat 17 packets of chocolate digestives, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah. So a few years ago I was on Facebook, which I was a lot. I loved a bit of Facebook.
You're not on it that much though, are you now?
No, I've come off it personally because I literally can just lose. I've replaced it with TikTok actually. TikTok's the best thing that's ever happened to me, apart from Wilson. So on Facebook, and I saw a trial for a drugs trial about PMDD, and I'm like, the hell's PMDD? So I applied for it. I never read the small print, I never do anything. That's just me, I'm very impulsive, I'm like, I'm having it.
Yeah.
So I applied and they rang me and I did a questionnaire about my symptoms and they were like, oh my God, classic PMDD, let's get you in. Unknowing to me, it's a women's hospital in Liverpool that I had to travel to once a month for like a year and a bit.
Right, okay.
Anyway, so I thought, well, something to do, something different, never been to Liverpool. I'll have a bit of that. So I got there and I met Dr. Paula Briggs. She's big on women's menstrual and menopausal issues.
All right, okay.
Massive.
Someone that we can search then?
Absolutely, yeah. She has got it to a T, and when I spoke to her I felt like the world opened up again. It was like somebody got it. She was like, classic PMDD. It's just massive, it's huge. It ain't just feeling a bit crap before your period, it's not that at all. it's for me. It's 2 weeks of, I want to say normal, but
different
functioning. Yeah. 2 weeks of functioning and 2 weeks of absolute desperation to just try and be a functioning human being. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Do you know what? Do you find it easier that you talk about it though? Because you are really open about it, especially in the office that's full of dudes. Right? But you will come in and say, look, next week I'm not going to be my normal bubbly self because it's this time.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why.
Yeah.
Have you found it easier that you do that?
Yes.
Because I know that we try, because we know, and like I know next week's going to be a different week to this week.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very different.
That when you come in, I'm going to try my utmost best to just make you absolutely howl with laughter, with saying stupid stuff like I always do.
Standard.
Yeah. But when you tell other people, do they do the same thing or?
Well, actually, it's interesting because I want to open up awareness of this. I want people to know, because if I said to you, have you ever had a period? Do you menstruate?
Me personally?
You personally?
I don't think I do. I know that I've heard that that men do sometimes like that.
Have a cycle.
There is a time of the month that men are a bit more.
What, like when the moon's?
Yeah, like when the moon's full and.
Anyway, so
the wolf howls and yeah.
So,
no.
But obviously not. So. But do you know someone that does?
Yes.
So basically, it's not it is our issue. You know, it's us who has to go through it. But you guys have to live on the other side of it. And I would not want to live with me. I am. God knows what it's like. I can't. You'd have to interview Lewis because I'm like, and it must be really, really difficult.
Just one big, massive emotional roller coaster.
Literally, the difference is now. I did the drugs trial. I had to inject myself with something. I literally couldn't tell you what it was because I am that blasé. I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go. Did the drugs trial, and the results of the drugs trial were positive, but the drug itself was not going to solve this issue.
Yeah.
But what they did find was that the more you talked about it, the more aware you were of it, the more you made other people aware of it, the less powerful it was over you.
All right. Okay.
So I've chose to be very vocal about it.
Yeah, you are very vocal.
I'm very, periods happen, people. Everybody has period.
So it's funny, like that when you get really close to a mic and you say "p," it like pops, and like periods happen, people.
Sorry. Oh God, I'm all red out. I hate it when I'm going.
So, raising awareness. How can you possibly raise awareness? Is it by just talking about it? Is it by blogging about it? Is it just being open on social media, or is it open? Because let's be honest, it's 2021, and social media is very impactful in life now.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Well, is there another way to communicate apart from social media?
You can't just cold call and be like, I'm on my period this week.
Well,
I just want to ring you and tell you about it and raise some awareness.
No, I mean it's not about. I don't want to be like just telling everyone this week's my period. It's not about that. Like I know what. That's just ridiculous. But my point is that it's not just PMT. It's not just been a bit crabby beforehand.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster of hell on earth, to be honest.
Yeah.
So. I now I'm aware of it. I'm thinking, so do people with bipolar get confused with this PMDD? Do people with depression know that they could have real hormonal fluctuations that could be affecting them more so than what they've realised?
Yeah.
Does anyone know how much the cycle affects them over a month, not just 3 days before you're due on and you need to eat 2 packets of Crunchy Nut cornflakes?
Yeah.
Or is that just me? I don't know. I could easily smash 2 packets of corn. So yeah, I wanted to raise awareness of the entire cycle of the full month, 12 months a year for 20, 30 odd years of your entire life. It's not just 3 days before your period. It's a thing. It's a life skill to learn to live with.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
That's what you want to do. It's quite good that you want to talk about this on this platform. Because obviously I'm going to share this onto other social media platforms.
I'm so scared.
and I would expect you to share it also. But, we've actually been contacted a few times about this. Like, I say a few times, like 2 or 3 times, about people wanting to raise awareness about it. And
here I am.
Here you are. And the reason why we haven't previously done it is because I can't talk about it. As in, I don't understand. So
no.
It's something that I could understand, as in if I did my research, I'd obviously be able to understand it. But it's easier for me to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah. And as we know, I'm happy to talk about it, and I can explain the full shebang to you. But maybe that's better if I do like a blog that people can go to and read about it there. Yeah,
well, that's what you're going to be doing anyway as well.
Oh, that's where we're going with this.
Yeah, you're going to be doing that as well.
I see that. So. Yeah. Well, I'm already doing my dry January blog. It's quite funny that.
Is that to go up on our website too?
I'll consider it. But we all know that's the long stuff. Shall I do a wine noise?
No.
I'm not doing the wine noise.
Let's not do the wine noise. Because you've been doing it for a majority of this day. And the other people in the office, I imagine they were a bit shocked on what it was at first. And then you presented yourself in front of them and did the wine noise as well. So I think we've all heard the wine noise today.
Okay.
I looked at your notes. Well, you showed me your notes about this podcast. She was like, this is what I would like to talk about and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's more on that laptop than what we have spoken about.
Oh, the other stuff, the background stuff.
Yes.
Do you want me to just do that quick?
It's entirely up to you.
Well...
Do you not feel comfortable talking about it?
No, it's not that, but I feel like it's like another story.
Yeah.
Because it's so big. It's just so big. The stuff that I wanna.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll go down the list.
Let's do a different story. Let's do a different.
Another one.
Let's do another one later down the line.
Yeah. Okay.
Like.
Because people need to know about these things.
Yeah, definitely.
On there, and I've lived them and I've experienced them. So, when clients or friends or anyone bring those things to me, I don't profess to know all of it. How can I? I possibly can't, because I'm not coming from your viewpoint. I'm just trying to understand your viewpoint.
Yeah.
But I think I'm good at listening without judgment and with empathy, because that's my job and I love it.
Diagnosis. Have you ever had a diagnosis for anything?
PMDD.
You've had diagnosis.
Absolutely.
For PMDD.
Yeah. I am.
Anything else?
Well, like. You want my medical history or?
No.
In my, not so much now, but younger, I was diagnosed with depression. I've obviously been in and out of depression.
Yeah.
I feel it less so now. Now I know how to deal with it. I have a diagnosis of, I call it wolf biting. That's the layman's term. I can't say it's dermatophobia or something. I don't know.
You just bite your fingers.
I bite my hands.
Yeah.
I hate it. I can't even get them out now because I'm so bad. They're an absolute mess.
Some days you come in and you've got like 10,000 plasters on your fingers, and it looks like you've just like fallen downstairs and you've got a cast on your hands.
I have.
Some days, like today, you haven't.
No.
So it's obviously something different. But the reason why I asked about diagnosis, I'm going to get onto something a bit different as well about diagnosis in a minute.
Okay.
But I was going to ask about tips. So PMDD. If someone is listening right now and they think, do you know what Lynsey said is very similar to what I'm feeling, what would be a good tip, sort of like coping mechanism for when it is them 2 weeks? Or do you know what I mean? Like you said that for 2 weeks you are normal in brackets, sort of, you are handling life.
Yeah, throw anything at me. Yeah. I can handle anything.
For 2 weeks you can handle life,
literally.
And then for 2 weeks you are unable to handle.
Or
you are. I
have to handle it differently.
Coping.
Yes, I have to adjust.
So, for somebody that's not quite coping yet, to do them 2 weeks of life, what's the best coping strategy to be able to just get back on that horse and just be like, right, I'll ride this out for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks I am living the dream.
I live the dream for 2 weeks. I love it.
So how do you get back on that horse? What's a good coping strategy?
I think for me, the main coping strategy was awareness. So I had a diary. I talk often with clients about journaling and diaries, and I was like, it's just another job in the day or something else to keep up to. But this changed my life. Right, so just being aware, literally a few words at top of me, diary in my book. I'm still pencil and paper diary. I don't use my phone diary because phones are like, that's too hard. And I'd literally write, moody, anxious, fingers bitten, 8, 17 Kit Kats. Yeah. And then 2 days later I'd forget, and then I'd write something else. I'd be like, oh, period came today, really bad stomach cramps, backache, but I could see clearly. And then 3 days later I'd write, period's gone, the world is in HD. I swear to you, I say this to everyone, when it's been and gone for 2 weeks, it's like the world's in HD, it's like 4K. It's just lap it up. So it's being aware of those periods of time. What is it for you? When does what change? At day 10, how are you feeling? Can you tell when you've ovulated? Can you tell when you're ovulating? Can you tell when it's your fertile window? Can you tell?
Fertile window?
Literally, babes.
Wow. Some of these are just like going.
It's like you explaining social media to me, and I'm like, TikTok.
I'm like, oh yeah, analytics on Google and stuff like this, and you're like, what? Yeah. So for journaling or just writing something down.
Any notes?
I know personally, my mom does this.
Aye.
My mom writes a lot of stuff down. She's, again, old school, in a diary.
Yeah.
And she writes everything down. So as in feelings.
Yeah.
But also things like activities that she's doing or has done and stuff like that. And it gives her a really good sense of where she's at in life, if you know what I mean. Like, so what you're saying, like, you could look back to last month and think, well, it's coming up to day 1.
Yeah.
So, and this is how I felt on that day. Right, I'm going to prepare myself to know that I'm feeling like this on this day, on day 1. And then you make it to day 10 or whatever it is, day 14.
Yeah.
And then you think, or even halfway through day 7, you can think, there's only 7 more days till I feel like I was at that mood where I was like sky high, absolutely loving life. So I guess by writing something down and having that timeline, you can look to where that horse is coming past and you can jump back on, can't you?
Get back on it. It is. It's about control. It's about living with it, because it's tough. You're going to have your period unless you take your pill relentlessly. Obviously there are lots of medications out there, and you can take antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, but as Dr. Paula Briggs explained to me, is it horses for courses? Now we're talking about horses. What works for one don't work for another. Exactly. You have to find your way of working. But I would definitely recommend just keeping a diary of where you're at every day, and you can start to see patterns forming. Like, I have the Fitbit app, and that gives you a log your period thing, and it's just a few words, and then also, to protect my family, on my calendar in the kitchen, I like mark it out, and I'm like, danger week.
Danger week.
That's what we call it. So if I'm foul and I'm like, if my house feeling insecure or whatever, and I'm like, danger week, why are you talking to me? And I can point at the counter, and everyone's like, okay.
It's good though to have that in the house, isn't it?
Yeah, but as I reiterate to friends and family, I have tried my best to overcome this demon. I have done everything in my power. I went to Liverpool Hospital at least once a month for over a year and injected myself with some fluid in a desperate attempt to be a better person, so it doesn't affect you. So my foul moods and dark thoughts and horrendous sugar cravings don't have to affect you, but I literally can't do any more at the moment, apart from take medication for 2 weeks that I do, and do my level best to be better.
Yeah.
I've got to the point of, this is it. There is no more apart from exercising. I do everything I physically can, and I don't know how to make it any better for you guys out there. I'm not even sorry.
Do you mean for the guys that are on the other side of it?
Yeah, because it's awful. I can bite your head off for absolutely no reason. But like literally like the Exorcist girl, like my head could come off.
But for us as well, like doing that diary stuff, doing it, having it on the wall, that's even something somewhat small like that, having it up on the wall, really helps us. Because then it's right. I can accept that they like this because of that, and it's not just a randomly, oh my God, she's gonna kill me because I haven't taken the bin out today.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't washed up before 10 o'clock, so I'm going to get my head ripped off.
Literally. Do you know what it is? It's like, Have you ever seen, I don't know, two horses arguing in a field? This is how I always compare it.
Nobody's ever seen two horses arguing.
Arguing! Alright, so you've watched David Attenborough and two tigers are having a scrap.
Alright.
And I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know that real, like the teeth are out, they are proper angry. There is no stopping. Like that animal instinct, that is what comes up for me. It is like, my body is like, I am not getting pregnant, so you don't need to be in my space. Get away from me. And that is how powerful it is. Is it primeval? I don't know what the word. It's like, it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's the female version of the horses
like
arguing in a field.
Like his primal instinct sort of thing.
That's it. What's primeval? What's that mean?
It's probably a game or something. It sounds like a game or it sounds like a program. But, so, someone, again, going back to diagnosis, because I wanted to speak a bit about this, but if somebody has listened and said, yep, again, I feel exactly the same, where would they go? GP?
GP, but...
I'm on the border about GPs, I'll have you know.
What do you mean?
Because I spoke about this last night on a live stream.
About GPs?
Yeah, because often in support services, we say see your GP. There's a lot of people that say go see your GP, go see your GP, go see your GP. But it's sort of like on the fence, it's like a 50-50. You get 50% of GPs that are absolutely, excuse my French, but shit hot, and they know about stuff, probably because something's happened to them in their life. Yeah, and then you get some GPs that are just like I had a message yesterday on one of our platforms just saying I've been to the GP and they've just told me I can't do anything. They can't do anything about it. And so you don't know what you're walking into sometimes. You know what I mean? Like at least if you come to a support group, you know that you go into a support group about everyone being in a similar situation or feeling down or whatever it may be. When you go to a GP, you don't know whether you're going to get that one that's absolutely shit hot that will say, right, what we'll do is we'll socially prescribe you to this session, or why don't we try this first before we go down the medication route, or why don't we try this or this or this, whereas sometimes it's I can't do anything for you, or we're just going to go with this medication because that's what I give everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Besides, that's why I'm a bit on the fence, because I've seen GPs being absolutely amazing, and I've heard about GPs being absolutely shit. So it's a bit of one.
Well, it's same as mechanics or dentists or counsellors or you're not going to, whatever.
So who else do you go to?
Well, my experience with GPs, I love GPs. I just think, good on you. I could do that job, flipping
I do love them. Like, do you know what I mean?
You love GPs. Do you want to talk about it? I'm joking. So
they've helped me a lot.
Same. But I think if I went to a GP and they're like, you've got bad PMT? No, I want to kill him. I want to literally take his... No, I'm not going to describe what.
But do you think there's not enough known about PMD?
No, absolutely not. Because there's not a lot known about anything that's invisible, is there?
No, but there's more known about depression than there is about PMDD.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like you were saying, what do you think, it's just PMT?
Yeah, oh God,
Like it could be that could be the answer.
Walk it off.
What do you think we think it might be just depression.
Yeah.
Or it might be just that you are super stressed.
Yeah, you're stressed, so you get bad PMT, and that's not anybody's fault, because this is such a niche. I don't know how many percentage. I haven't done much research because I'm absolutely rubbish at stuff like that. I don't know how many numbers of people have it, but for there to be a drugs trial on it means that it's out there. Yeah. So for me, it was going to the sexual health clinic. I'm not scared, I'll go anywhere, I'm not bothered.
Well, you went to Liverpool, didn't you? To inject yourself with something no one knew about.
Absolutely, literally loved it. I have no idea what I was doing, but you've got to do these things. But the sexual health clinic were brilliant. Yeah. And then beyond that, I don't know, because somebody somewhere will hear it, and the more we talk about it, the more it's going to 100%. Be known, and it might be you. Not you that's got it, because you're a boy.
Yeah. I'm a man. So again, into diagnosis, what I want to ask you, because to me, you are a professional.
I am.
You know, and other
I
people.
am professional.
Yeah. Self-diagnosis. What's your thoughts on that? Is it dangerous? Is it very dangerous to self-diagnose? Because the more that we do talk about stuff, the more that we talk about depression, anxiety, PMDD, all these things that we talk about, and especially like Unmasked, we talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Screaming about it. Like, let's talk about it and raise awareness, which is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
But then what that does is it opens up a big can of worms. It can do, and maybe I'm being a bit controversial here, but it can be damaging as well, because it can be that somebody hears about depression and thinks, I'm going to use that, or it becomes a bit more diluted, if you know what I mean, and because it's said so much, or we're hearing it a lot more. It's not said so much. I mean, we're hearing about it a lot more.
I am depressed. I have depression.
Exactly. It dilutes the severity of what depression actually is. Because when I speak to some people, well, I speak to people every single day, and like the stuff that they tell me, and they've been diagnosed with depression, you think, holy shit, like that is hard. And then when someone says, oh, I've had such a crap day at work today, I'm so depressed about being sat at a desk, and you think, yeah, you should hear Brian. You should hear Brian's story that he told me that Brian's made up. Do you know what I mean? But you should hear this. Now that's tough. But so self-diagnosis can be I guess for me it can be quite, like someone could self-diagnose after listening to this about what you've been through and think, do you know what, that is me, and then go to a GP and say, I think it's this. Yeah. And then maybe the GP or wherever you go will think, actually, let's look into that, and it might be that. Whereas sometimes it can be, self-diagnosis can be damaging, I guess, can't it?
You're on rocky ground here, aren't you? I'm like, you mean like Dr. Google, that sort of stuff, and then focusing on a diagnosis. Yeah, I understand that. Like,
I'm on rocky ground. What do you mean? Like, I'm being a bit controversial. Well, we need to talk about it, though.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Everything like this needs to be. So I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying, like, let's just be open about it. Because
well, you're right, because say when I was younger, I remember depression was like thrown around in our house quite a lot. I don't know if my grandma had it, my mum, I don't know. The word depression just was normal to me. You were just depressed. But then when I was depressed, when I was actually suffering with actual depression, my God, that is a dark, dark hole to get out of. It's different. Yeah. It is a dark, dark place. So self-diagnosis is...
You don't have to answer. I just want to bring it up.
I'm just going to my point of, like, you get some professional advice. Yeah. Because you can use a diagnosis to not be better. You can choose not to be better, and I know what that sounds like. But when I've been places and then I've chosen to do things differently, if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got. Yeah. So I make a conscious effort to do things differently, so that makes my life better. Because you're not here forever. I might as well just live it how I want as best I can.
Yeah. Do you feel like you do that?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes no. I've still got stuff to work on, hence the list on my laptop. We'll get to that. Oops.
We will get to that. Maybe I was a bit controversial there, but by bringing up self-diagnosis, but it's very present, and it sort of goes to what we, I was saying, like, people, come back and say, oh, it's so depressing at work, I've been sat at a desk. It sort of dilutes that severity of what it means. It's not just adults that hear that, though, it's the kids as well. And like, you've had a phone call today that I've been a part of the conversation about teenagers and being in a difficult place, and there's nothing really for teenagers, or there's things for teenagers, but like, our professional service is not something that, you know what I mean, like we go down to 16 in our support services, but in the counselling services 18 plus. And there's not really something for younger than that around here, besides one place that is absolutely chock-a-block, and you can't get in. So you said earlier on that you need to start learning about stuff at an earlier age.
Yes.
didn't you? You said about like about life
in
an
schools,
early age,
like
And I think it's just so important that we are able to try and get into schools and do stuff like mental health awareness sessions and actually talk about how difficult situations can be when you're actually depressed and or you've got you've got anxiety, how actually severe that can be, and it not just be a word that is just bashed around now and do you know what I mean?
Everywhere, isn't it?
It is.
Depression and anxiety.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
It's great, but also I like to use less specific terms. So I'll be like, so tell me about what's anxiety? What is it? For me, anxiety is I am just overthinking about something that may or may not happen at any point. I don't even know. I can get myself into such a flurry. That's anxiety. Biting nails for it. What's it for you? Everybody's is different. So do we have to call it anxiety, or are you overthinking? Are you worried too much? Are you just...
Is it fear?
Is it fear? Is it excitement?
Yeah.
Anxiety gets confused with excitement.
Yeah.
I think mine's probably manifest itself as well.
Yeah. You're pretty wild at it. But you definitely got like verbal Tourette's on just talking. See, when after this podcast is finished, your excitement levels won't change at all. They'll just either have a spike or just stay as they are and just be like, oh, Lynsey, it's 5 o'clock now. Come on, we need to go. But
I do try.
You do. So I asked you for a tip on PMDD and what to do.
Yeah.
And sort of like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Now, as a counsellor, you speak to people that have been diagnosed with many different things. What would be one of your tips on coping through the week? Because counselling sessions are usually once a week. If you're lucky, you might get more. If you have a bit more brass in your pocket, you might get more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we found is that counselling sessions really worked in my life, in my wife's life, and it was sort of like an emotional roller coaster, like you said, but it was like whatever day it was, pick Wednesday. Wednesday was a great day. It was an emotional day, but it was a great day, and Thursday was pretty good. Friday might be meh. But then sort of like weekend comes and it's fun on a weekend because we've got a daughter and stuff like that, but then for them other couple of days before Wednesday it's a tough time. So I guess that's one of the reasons why we started Unmasked as well, is to sort of bridge them gaps. Do you know what I mean? Like have the app there as a bridge for the gap, and the services for the bridges for the gap, not to take away from other services, to bridge them, to sort of prop up that roller coaster of emotions. And so when you see a client, what is a good tip for during the week?
Well, I'll explain what I've had to do in my survival techniques.
If it's journaling again, say journaling again. But
obviously I'm journaling, big on journaling. And when I say about journaling, the rules are turn up at the page, forget punctuation, forget grammar, forget spelling, just write it. As if nobody's watching.
You don't have to do it on the line.
Nobody can, just write it, God's sake.
Yeah.
But also I'm big on walking. Exercise, I don't want to do that. I love running as well actually, but I can't be bothered at a minute. But walk it. Get your trainers on, get out, walk. Walk and talk, walk with your friend, talk to your friend. Walk and talk is the best thing that I've ever done for any health, mental health condition, certainly. Also, just this is a tough one. Learning how to accept who you are and being who you are. It's okay. It is okay. And go to groups. I know they're scary. Walking through that door is awful. I've done it. I'm not coming from a place of go to groups are great. I'm saying it is really scary. But once you're in there, you realise
scary, isn't it?
It's ace once you're in there. It's
just the thought of. Even when you're a kid and you go play on a football team or whatever, you become a part of a group or a team. It's scary walking through that sports hall or whatever it is. So as an adult, and then you think, I've got to go to this group tonight, it's going to be like 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 people. And they're just going to all look at me, and I'm just there. But it is, once you are there, because at groups, especially ours, we don't necessarily people don't necessarily talk every single time.
You don't have to
Do you know
talk.
what I mean?
You will learn something.
Yeah.
You will definitely learn something.
I think that's one of the great things about groups, that you're not forced to talk.
Workshops.
Yeah.
Education in schools is not for you, and everyone's like, oh, I'm thick, or I can't do it, or I hated school. But workshops as an adult, when you are learning about yourself, is a completely different education. It's fun, it's interesting, depending if you've got a good teacher, you don't want to be bored. But
Are you trying to promote some of your services?
I think it's time we did so, you know. And doing stuff like this, tell your story.
Yeah.
Go tell your story.
This is why we want it to be like this, and not like not necessarily. There might be a time where we have someone that is maybe famous or whatever on here. Ooh.
Anybody famous want to?
But I want people that are everyday people.
Real. We've lived
Real
it.
people, yeah, real people. And
We've lived
it's
it.
about that real people and real stories. And
Yeah.
you called it White Table Talks.
Thanks.
And I thought, what a great name for the podcast. But it's not just for the podcast, it's for a project that you want to do as well for Unmasked, about real people just sat around a table and talking.
With a minuscule amount of facilitation.
Yeah.
That's it. And it'll be interesting and fun and educational, but the subject matter will be yourself.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to learn about themselves, because it's ace.
It is.
It's very interesting.
It is. It is. I was on this other talk last night, and it was really strange getting asked the questions, and now today having to ask the questions, if you know what I mean. Because the first one that I mean, I asked it you, but it was like, tell me about yourself. And I was like, I don't know, you put me on the spot. Like, even though I say something about myself every single day, I'm on live streams and all this jazz. Yeah. But yeah, it's difficult. But I really appreciate you coming and doing this talk today about PMDD. Because it's something that I'm not au fait with and not really aware of. We've spoke about it previously. Which made me aware of it. I know the name, do you know what I mean? And I know a bit about it, but I've learned a bit more about it today. And I'd love to know more about it and to proper get into it and understand it.
Don't worry, I'll be telling you.
I'm sure you will.
Day in,
I'm sure you will.
day
Why don't we do
out.
like an education, like a full education?
I'll do a White Table Talks on PMDD, you know, for a, not like this White Table Talks, I'll do an education on it.
Yeah. We could do that, but we'll call it a day. And it's been really nice to chat to you, even though we chat all the time in the office. But this is a bit of a different chat, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's really good. Highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Yeah, definitely. So what I'll do is I'll get this posted on our Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and all that stuff like that. But is there anything that you want to say before we go, like, to anybody out there that's listening, maybe struggling right now? I said last night, you know, I did a TikTok yesterday about
love TikTok.
Dark days, and dark days happen often, but there is lighter days, and that's what I want to sort of get. Just if there's anyone struggling right now, just to stick in it, because like you said, them 2 weeks are like you're struggling so bad, but you know that in 2 weeks' time you are living the dream, and every day is different, completely different.
Well, I always, when I did workshops before at Women's Centre, I always remember myself saying, SHIT happens, you can't stop it.
Shit happens.
Literally, shit happens. I don't swear much. Lies! So, I swear a lot. Sorry, Mum. But yeah, bad things are going to happen. And so you can't stop that. It doesn't matter what anybody else's life is like on Facebook or what your perception of their life is. Everybody is going to go through something at some point, because that is life. Either you change it or life will change it for you.
Yeah.
And the difficult time is the transition between changes. That's the bit I find difficult. Once changes happen, that's okay. The transitional bit's the hard bit. So just do your best to do with it. Go to workshops, go to hubs, go to
Too right, yeah, too right.
go to counselling, read, colouring, whatever.
Yeah,
Walk.
too right. So we'll call it a day there.
Yeah.
For anyone that's listened, I hope you enjoyed this White Table Talks with Lynsey. Lynsey is an absolute legend of unmasked mental health. So thank you again, Lynsey, for coming on and doing this. But yeah, for anyone listening, if you could give this a like and a share, that would be absolutely amazing, because you never know what someone's going through. You never know, do you?
No.
You never know.
No, you don't.
That person next to you on the train, that person next to you at work, you never know what that person's going through. So if you can just give this a share, they might pick it up and think, that's me, I'm not on my own.
Yeah.
I hope everybody stays happy, I hope everyone stays healthy, and together let's unmask the stigma of mental health. Take care everyone, love you all.